Hello, ladies, and welcome to Building Success, Loving Life. This is episode 4, and today I would like to talk about how to get out of a rut at work. And I'm going to give you some ideas on how to do that. And when I talk about being in a rut, it's often a feeling that we're on the same track. So I grew up in Maine and there was a lot of dirt roads. And I think of a rut as if we were driving the car and there's 2 ruts in the road and we just keep going straight and the scenery doesn't change. It's the same trees. It's the same fields. It's the same over and over and over. That's, for me, the feeling of being in a rut. And how it shows up at work, and maybe you've already felt this in the past, is you're starting to get really bored. We even talk about bore out nowadays. Okay, you're starting to get really bored. Or you're not feeling challenged. Not feeling challenged also, it means the day after day, it's the same thing. You could also feel like nothing is changing. Again, day after day, same thing. And it could even get to the point where maybe you're starting to feel resentment towards the company, towards you, and you're starting to have a lot of times that mind drama around my job sucks, I hate it, what am I doing here? And so what I want to say, and I feel very, very strongly about this, ladies, it is your job to get yourself out of a rut. It is absolutely not the job of your boss to get you out of a rut. It is not the job of your boyfriend or your significant other. It is your job. And so that's what I want to talk about today is different ways that you can take your power back and help get yourself out of a rut. And the way I think about it is if we're driving that car down that dirt road, you're in the driver's seat and you need to start pulling on the wheel and kind of pulling it to the left or pulling it to the right. And eventually you will get out of the rut. So I'd like to go into more detail on 3 different ways that I would suggest you go about this. But once again, it's your job to take your power back. So the first one is speak up. Speak up and do something about it at work. So a lot of times, people don't know that you're in a rut. If you don't say anything, your boss or your coworkers cannot guess what you are thinking and feeling. They have no idea unless you tell them. So you can speak up and say, hey, I'm bored. I would love to be challenged. Is there a project that I could volunteer for? Or is there something new that I could do? There's also bringing ideas to the table. So going to see your boss and say, look, I'm not feeling challenged. I'm actually very, very bored at the moment. I would love to be doing this. Or I've thought of this. I have seen this. Maybe the company could try this. It's you bringing the power back and bringing ideas to the table rather than expecting other people to see that you're in a rut and to help you out of it. It is your job to get yourself out of it. Okay? People need to drive their own careers. And so when you start feeling in a rut on those feelings that I described at the beginning of this, it is your job to find a way to steer the car. Okay, so that's the first thing that I would suggest. So first of all, talk about it, volunteer for different projects, or even bring ideas to the table. The second way, when we're in a rut at work, is also we can change our thinking about what is happening at work. Keep in mind that companies are living creatures. There are times when things are very dynamic. There are times when things are very slow. And there are times when they're kind of in a neutral no man's land and we're not sure where the company is going. We can also feel in a rut at those points in time. So maybe think about it a little differently. Maybe tell yourself it is happening exactly how it should be. Maybe give yourself grace during that time to take a breather. Nothing has gone wrong, and companies go through transitions. So maybe just give yourself and the company space to say, it's okay. We're at a certain point of time. Things will evolve. And maybe it's just the perfect moment to take a breather. So that's a couple different ways. So either taking action at work or changing your thinking about when you were in a rut. Those are two different ways. The other way, and this is the third way, again, it's coming down to you ladies taking your power back. It is what can you do outside of work that is going to give you the intellectual stimulation that you need. Remember, you are the driver of the car going down that road. When I talk about doing something outside of work, I am talking about finding something that interests you and that gives you purpose, that maybe gives you social connection, and that is challenging your brain, that you are learning something. So I'll just give you a couple examples for me before I suggest a few things for you as food for thought. So there was at one point in time where I was struggling at work and very, very bored. For me personally, I would say, lifespan in a job is 4 years, because after about 3 years, I start getting bored. 4 years, I get really bored. And then between year 4 and 5, I absolutely have to do something else. And if you look at my career and I look back, that's what I've done for the past 30 years. And so when I know that I'm going to start getting into that phase, what I do is I find something to do outside of work. So what I did, this was a few years ago, I actually started a company in nutrition and fitness. I was affiliated with a company in the US. I live in Europe. And I became a fitness and nutrition coach. And I did that for 2 years. I coached my colleagues. I coached friends, families, clients. I did that mornings, evenings, and weekends for 2 years, on top of my full-time job where I was working and traveling. And I found purpose in doing that because I was helping women get fit, get healthy, take care of themselves. So I felt I was giving back to the world. And I had so much energy also. And it gave me goals outside of work. But that was a very, very big time investment. I had to be certified. I had to find clients. So it doesn't have to be something that big. It can be something as minor as, so I've made a list here with some ideas. Maybe volunteering at an animal shelter. It could be being part of a church group. It could be maybe you have some sports goals. I personally went through a phase in my life where I was running races. All I wanted to do was run races. So it fed my need to be healthy and fit. And it also gave me a goal to work for that was 3 or 6 months out. So I would train for races. I went from 5K to 10K to half marathon, and I ended up running 3 marathons in 2 years' time. So that was a very big goal. It could be a step goal per day. It could be just meditation, 5-minute meditation per day. It's finding something that is going to help you connect with yourself or with other people outside of work. It could be, I was hiking. Hiking is amazing. It could be learning any kind of new skill. I've talked often about it, but I love golf. I hated golf for years. I grew up in a golfing family and I thought it was the most boring thing ever. And my husband was on my back about learning golf together as a couple. And I finally gave in, and it was a new skill. And I put a lot of effort into learning a new skill. And as much as I loved my job, it was also at a time where I wasn't being fulfilled at work. I absolutely needed to do something that stimulated my brain, that connected me to people. And so a lot of people say, and again, it's something I work on with my clients often in coaching because they're so bored and they don't know where to start. That's often what we hear. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. So I would suggest the first thing that you do if you're looking to build and create that stimulation for yourself outside of work is brainstorm. Sit down, grab a piece of paper, and write out 20 ideas. 20 ideas. And I say 20 because often the first 5 or 6 are very surface and very, I would say, evident. And when you force yourself to find 20 ideas, you start to think, that could be fun. What about that? And it gets to be really, really exciting. So force yourself to find 20 ideas, big ideas or smaller ideas, but things that you can do outside of the workplace. The second thing I would do is go back through the list. So maybe put it aside for a couple of days. Go back through the list, decide on a couple topics, and research things that might interest you. So, for example, maybe you want to take a cooking class and you want to see what is going on in your town or in the next town over. That takes a little bit of time. Maybe it only starts up in January and September. I don't know, but take some time to research. But what you have done here is you've put something into your brain that signals, maybe I'm ready to learn something. So the reason why I like to write things down is because that signals to our brain that it's something we're interested in. We've given a signal to our brain to kind of put up antenna and pay attention maybe to what's going on. And there were 2 subjects that interested me. I grew up playing the piano. I stopped after when I was young. I only played for 5 or 6 years and never played again. But it was always in the back of my mind. We had a piano because my daughter had taken some lessons. And when she stopped, I did not get rid of the piano. I kept it because I'm like, oh gosh, one day I'll start taking piano lessons again. And so that was on my list. Piano was on my list. And so one day I go to the supermarket here and I read on the board, there's some announcements and little ads, and a student is giving piano lessons. So I'm like, the universe is telling me something. So I just called them up, made an appointment, and I took piano lessons for 6 months. Decided I didn't really like it. So stopped and eventually sold the piano. But those 6 months were so amazing because I chose music that I liked. I chose music that I wanted to play. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. But I looked forward every single week to that Monday evening when my piano teacher would come and we would sit down for an hour. And I had the discipline of even practicing 15 minutes a day, every single day. And that gave me purpose outside of work. And that's the kind of thing that I feel, ladies, you are driving the car. It is your career. If you feel that you are in a rut, then start like tugging on that steering wheel and trying to turn the car left or right. But find something that interests you, take your power back. And the question that I would like to leave you with this week is, what did you do when you were younger that you would love to try again? Have a great week, ladies, and we'll talk soon. Bye.